All right, so we saw the Netflix film. I'm going to have to read this off of the computer here. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile.
You couldn't remember that?
Nope. That is a long movie title. Too much for me.
That is kind of long.
So we saw it last night. I got some feelings on it. I think you got some feelings on it.
What's our rating this time?
So streaming, it's a little different. It's not a see it, wait for it, pass it. For streaming, it is either loved it, liked it, it's okay, didn't like it.
Okay.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yes, it's okay.
I like how you said that. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's good.
It's okay. So, got some feelings on this, and as the serial killer aficionado between the two of us, I think you probably got some things that you want to say about it, so let's get into it. All right, so Sam, go ahead. Stop. Start. Sorry, I said stop.
Wow.
Don't stop.
Demanding.
Go.
It
Title
was
of the film.
odd.
So, title of the film.
I don't remember it anymore. Shockingly evil, something vile.
Okay, that works. That's fine.
Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Okay.
We should have just said shockingly evil. Like, we could have left it at that, I think. Okay, so here's the thing. I saw the documentary.
Which was called?
The tapes of...
The Ted Bundy tapes?
The Ted Bundy tapes, the tapes of Ted Bundy, or something along those lines. And I saw the movie, and it was the exact same thing, but the movie was very confusing. If I hadn't seen the documentary, I don't think I would have been able to follow the movie, because even when you were even asking me questions, you were like, wait, doesn't he escape here? Or when does he escape? Didn't he escape a couple times? But where are they? Like, we didn't know where it wasn't really explained, except for, it wasn't really explained at all. He was just showing up at places and getting arrested left and right. Like, the film is the film is a movie about his court case.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about his life in any way. Like, you don't really see, like, he's supposed to be charismatic, but Zac Efron is kind of charismatic, but he's not as charismatic as they show in the documentary. In the documentary, he's like, he appears to be a charming guy. He talks over other people, trying to be like a superior person, and you can see his dark side in those documentaries. In this one, like, you can see his dark sides right away, but he's not as charismatic as I thought he was going to be portrayed as. Is that even making sense?
Yeah, okay. So for me, like you said, I got a little bit confused, like, straight out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I am not familiar with the Ted Bundy story as a whole. I know who Ted Bundy is. I know he did a bunch of shocking and evil murders. He was a horrible person. But from straight out of the gate, I was... a little confused.
Yeah.
I always thought he was captured for murders. I never realized he was actually arrested for minor stuff first, and then they pinned murders to him. And that was not clear to me in the beginning. So...
Well, like, they had a lot of the facts right. So, from the beginning to the end, they had the facts right, and it was in the order, for the most part, that it was supposed to be in. But they also, like, didn't portray how much the public was involved in this, besides, like, a bunch of girls that were in the courtroom. But it was so much more than that. And he said there was a line in there that he references that he actually used, that he said something like, I'm more popular than Disney. And that was true, but, like, you didn't get that sense in the movie. Like, well, it's not that was true, but, like, he really felt like that was true because there was so much commotion going on that we didn't get to see.
Yeah, and the movie's told from Ted Bundy's perspective. The thing that bothered me about the film, and why, for me, it was kind of, in the beginning, it was a little hard to get a grasp of what was going on, where they're at, because I'm not familiar with the story, how he was caught and all that stuff. They don't go into the murders at all. Like, they don't show him committing the murders. They don't show...
Yeah.
The things that they suspected of him doing. It's not until, like, the very end of the film where you actually get to see something. For me, the issue with a film like this, as someone I'm not into the serial killer documentaries that Netflix has been putting out, but I love the serial killer films.
Yeah.
So things like, and essentially just David Fincher films, Seven, Zodiac, love Mindhunter. The thing about these films that is
Mindhunter's great.
The things about these movies and shows that's intriguing to me is that they are told from the perspective outside of the serial killer and the people whose lives that serial killer is encompassing. That is what's fascinating about those films to me. This movie's not like that at all. I actually don't find the serial killer angle that interesting, especially because we don't dive into the motivations or the things that was driving him.
Ted Bundy's life is crazy. Like, when you watch the documentary, you go through, it's extremely interesting, but it's also told in the eyes of, like, people looking in. So I guess I never really thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense. And then this one, it's through the eyes of Ted Bundy, and it just didn't quite fit. So
you never see him do any of these acts. You never see if it was, like, satisfactory or what it was to him when he was doing it.
Yeah, it almost, like, didn't make me believe he did it.
And
it almost felt like, okay, maybe he didn't do it, even though he did.
Yeah, which kind of a weird angle.
It's a very weird angle, and I don't know if that's what they were going for, because he was, like, until his last couple days, he was definitely like, this is not me, I didn't do it. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 days, and, he was just like, yeah, I did it. Like, all 30, if not more than 30 women.
Yeah, I almost feel there's at some point where I almost feel like I'd be more engaged if it was a film about the girlfriends, because it does feel like the ending does feel like it wraps up her emotions and her story.
She was a big part of it. Lily Tomlin's character was a big part of it, and she was the most captivating. Yeah, because it was tearing her apart. And then the girlfriend that became his wife, Carol, she had a very different storyline, because in the reality, she was very obsessed with him, and they knew each other when they worked together. And then, if I'm correct, in the documentary, they didn't start talking again until she started going to his trials. Okay. So she was just, like, there all the time. So, like, that would have been an interesting, because I don't know, it sounds a little crazy to me. Yeah.
Now I can talk about the themes and all that stuff, comparing it to other serial killer, like real life biopic serial killer films, all day, because I love some of those films in that genre. But I've said my piece on it. What I will say is that Zac Efron is great in this film. I did like his acting's really good. It looked like it was a pretty accurate portrayal of Ted Bundy, if not a little bit extra charismatic. But he himself owns the scenes he's really good. He's really turned it around as an actor. He can do comedy. He's really good in Neighbors. He's good in this. The standout scene for me, and what I wish the whole film would have emulated, is the very last scene, the scene in the prison.
Well, that's the most captivating.
That is
the most interesting aspect, because you get a glimpse of who Ted Bundy was.
Now imagine the film was actually those scenes, and it was like Ted Bundy's confessions. And then as he's confessing, you actually see the scenes play out over the course of the whole film. Yeah. Like, imagine as he starts confessing, you see the film, you see those scenes, and then you're in his shoes during those scenes.
Like, if he was just talking, even if we never saw anything, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But if he's at least just, like, telling us his story about those things, that would have been interesting. Like, what was he thinking? And, like, Mindhunters, like, what was he thinking? And when he was doing, during this time, like, I don't know how to go on with this. You can continue. I don't know how to say it. But like, it's like these horrific acts. Like, it's not, that's what captivates people. That's why people go to watch these documentaries. And so, like, Mindhunters, it was what he was feeling. And he starts out, with how awful his childhood was. And then it leads up to everything. And then how satisfactory, unfortunately, he felt when he did these acts. And, like, those were the things that we were like, holy crap, this guy's crazy. But, like, you don't stop watching.
Yeah, and what's one of the things that's actually really fascinating about the serial killer documentaries that Netflix does, or like these murder documentaries that are on Netflix, is that how it affects the people's lives around the actual killings.
Because they talk to
the people whose lives it affected.
Who like the detectives, the family members, and those are the people that they talk to, and it breaks your heart.
Yeah. So to me, that's the stuff that's super fascinating about these stories and what it captivates me. So this film, incredibly well acted. The writing's okay. Good cinematography. It's really, for me, won over by or at least worth watching for that very last scene. The very last scene is very captivating. Yeah. So it's a Netflix streaming. You don't have to pay to see this. It is worth a watch of sorts. But it'd be interesting to see what other people feel about this film and this portrayal and how they made this Ted Bundy film. I'd be very interested to see a Ted Bundy film that's more about the confession and the actual murders than the trial, the court case.
I don't think they know that much about the actual confession. Like, I know that there's a big confession, but I don't think it's... I don't know. I think there's a lot left unsaid because they said at the end that there might be more than just that amount of number.
Oh, yeah. No, that's notoriously one of the worst serial killers, if not the worst ever of all time. So that's it for my thoughts. There are some good, mainly the acting is really fantastic. Stacked cast, a lot of great actors in this movie.
A ton of them.
Oh, yeah. Just wish I was a little bit more compelled about the story. Mm-hmm. That's all. So that's it for me.
That's it for me.
All right. That's it for us. What did you think of this film? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, like and subscribe if you like this video. Lost my train of thought there. And as always, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, guys.